man. How we doing, buddy?
Fantastic. And how are you, Adam?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah, good to
Yeah,
hear.
as always, just having a fucking beer, right? Chilling, enjoying life. It's not as good as the fucking proper 12, right? But, you know,
Proper 12, buddy. I got
yeah.
Connor on the table and I got Connor on the wall. You probably can't see it, but the
Oh, man,
Jose
absolutely
Aldo
amazing. Yeah.
memorabilia from their fight, from their canvas. But yeah, keeps me inspired. But we're talking about what's going on in the fight world these days, and uh, what I'm really excited is not an MMA fight; it's a boxing fight.
Oh, you're talking about Fury versus Ngannou, right?
Yeah, it's six
Yeah,
weeks
man.
out, and they're fighting in Abu Dhabi, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's gonna be a big fight. It's gonna be a big fight. And yeah, like Mike Tyson is training Francis Ngannou, right? So it's definitely adds a spark to it, right? Because when Mike Tyson is fucking involved, it just makes it more awesome, like it's not just a simple trainer. I mean, it's Mike Tyson, and I imagine, yeah, like Ngannou can learn a lot of things from him, and I really hope that it's gonna make the fight more competitive, and yeah, it's just gonna be great, man.
Did you see
Yeah.
the promotion conference that they had when they had them up on stage talking to each other and taking questions from the media?
I actually have not. What happened there?
No, it was more like I just saw some clips of it. I didn't see the whole thing. So, but there was Tyson Fury talking about like, okay, you like your whole upbringing, you were named after Mike Tyson. You became world champion, and you were inspired by that. And you had interviews and you had meetings with Tyson. And now, when you're having one of the biggest, baddest, strongest opponents they ever had, and Mike Tyson's coaching him. How do you feel about that?
What did
Because
he say?
his father named him after Mike Tyson, so he said,
Yeah.
"No, it stings a little. It's kind of it's kind of a strange situation to be in because this person has been a big inspiration not only for him but his whole family." So that was kind of it was nice to see Tyson Fury being really honest, and was very respectful. He said he doesn't take this fight lightly. He has huge respect for Nagano in his journey until this point in his life, how he was a refugee, tried to go from Morocco to France to 7 times before he was successful as a refugee, and then fighting his way up in the UFC. So he's not taking his fight lightly, and he was speaking very respectful of Nagano. So it was a beautiful thing to watch these days when we have the trash talking and you have all these YouTuber fights, and it was just
Yeah.
like nice to see a proper ambassador of the fighting sports.
Yeah, but I mean, Tyson Fury is a really interesting character, right? Because when he fought Wilder, right, especially the first time, there was like a lot of trash talk going on between them, and even with no, I think most trash talk was with Deontay Wilder. Yeah, so Tyson Fury is an interesting character because even his last fight against Derek Chisora, right, he was very respectful. And so sometimes he's like a complete fucking lunatic, right, where he just fucking flips tables and like insults his opponents and fucking makes fun of them and everything. But at the same time, sometimes he's a very respectful guy. So I think he's one of the most interesting characters in the boxing world throughout history, I would say. Not the best boxer in history, but one of the most interesting characters for sure.
Yeah, I saw this on the other side. I saw Francis Ngannou on Joe Rogan's podcast and recently, and Joe Rogan just dove into it and asked, "What do you think? What's your predictions?" And also, I love the way that Francis talked about his approach to Tyson and to the fight. He said, like, "No, I don't like." He's such a gentle giant, you know. He's
Yeah.
this big, strong guy, and he speaks so softly, so relaxed. I'm almost laughing by myself when I'm listening to this gentle giant, huge, strong person, right? And he said, like, no, I don't want to have any predictions. I don't want to have any opinions. I want that fight to just become what it should be, like have it evolve naturally. So I love that he's just respecting his journey and not having too much tactics, too much plans, preparing the best that he can, and then just it is what it is, right? Either he wakes up on the morning next day and is the biggest fighting star in the whole fighting world, or he's not.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for Francis Ngannou because he came, as you mentioned earlier, I think in one of the earlier podcasts, that he came from nothing. He grew up in a fucking village in West Africa, right, where people make about $1,000 a year or something like that. And yeah, he was like a fucking illegal immigrant. He was homeless, and then he made his way into the UFC, and then he became UFC champion, defended his belt, and now he's fighting, in my opinion, the current best boxer in the world. And he has a chance, right, to beat him. I mean, because he's there, he has a chance to beat him. And if he can pull that off somehow, I mean, it's gonna be one of the most interesting, one of the best stories in combat sports ever, really.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Besides Tyson Fury's, right? Because that guy's story is also fucking worth talking about, right? I mean, the guy almost committed suicide. He was fucking 400 pounds, right? I mean, he was an alcoholic, and he came back from there and knocked out Deontay Wilder twice, knocked out Derek Chisora since then. It's just fucking amazing, like how talented the guy is and how much willpower he has. That's like extremely amazing. I mean, yeah, they're both, great willpower and great characters.
These gentlemen are born for fighting. There's nothing else to it. They should never be an accountant. They should never be a lawyer. They should never be an HR advisor. They should be fighters. Enough said about that. But Tyson Fury, he comes up on stage. He makes fun because he's 2 meters and 6 centimeters. So it's a big guy, a huge guy.
The 6'9" for the Americans out there, right?
All right, yeah. You do the conversions, man. That's fantastic. What do you call a quarter pounder in England?
I don't know. What's that?
A Royale with cheese. They don't have quarters there.
I think we call it Royal in Hungary as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have quarters either.
That's so fucking funny, by the way. Like, I read this article that, like putting a fucking quarter pound of meat into a burger, that's like too much. And, like how unhealthy is that and stuff like that. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you fucking idiots. Like, how is like a quarter pound, which is like 0.125 kilograms, right? Like, how is that a lot, man? Like, I eat fucking 4 times that much, after a training, right? That's fucking ridiculous. But anyway,
and it's probably not about the amount of meat, but also what you're adding to it, like the almost 1 liter of cola and French fries and nuggets and onion rings.
Yeah, for sure.
That's okay. That's not unhealthy. But the quarter pound of meat.
But I mean, this is what pisses me off about the people that say that McDonald's is very unhealthy, because I think if you just eat burgers in McDonald's, that's not like very, very unhealthy, right? What makes it unhealthy is that you drink a fucking shake with it, right? And you eat a fucking ice cream and 2 boxes of French fries and shit like that. And of course, like, you wonder that you're like fucking 300 pounds after that. But if you just eat a fucking burger, that's not that unhealthy, right? And that won't make you fat. I mean, the same way, if you go to like the best I don't know, fucking Japanese restaurant and you eat the best steak ever, but you drink every night 4 beers with it, and you drink a milkshake and you know, eat 2 boxes of fries and shit like that, you're gonna get fat, right?
Yeah, I'm no nutritionist, but I saw this documentary about McDonald's. This guy was just eating McDonald's for a month or something like this, all meals through the whole day. Was he just eating McDonald's food? You know, he got depressed, almost suicidal. It was very bad for his mental health. His physical health just declined rapidly, and also they also did a test on that. They put like a McDonald's burger in a box, and they took an ordinary burger from somewhere else and put it in a box. 30 days later, they opened the McDonald's. It looks completely the same, and the other one was deteriorating and looks really shitty, like naturally just degrading, like it's being breaking down by natural processes. But the McDonald's burger was almost as fresh as it was when you ordered it a month after. So when it comes to like the level of the quality, I don't want to diss McDonald's or the food or the situation, I think, but a lot of processed food, this kind of soup in a bag. Well, it's not natural to have a soup in a bag, all this hyper processed food, it takes all the nutrition out of it. It's just crushed to fucking flour, and then you got to just heat it with water. Once in a while, if you're in the woods camping, okay, but at the end of the day, prepare your own food and try to make your own meals. That's the most beneficial way of living, I guess.
No, sure. I mean, if you can, let's say, have chickens and whatever animals in your garden, and you just cut them and make your own fucking soup and steak and whatnot, that's definitely better, right? But I mean, that just cracks me up really when people talk bad about McDonald's, and I'm not fucking paid by McDonald's to say all this shit, right? I don't give a fuck, but
I get it, buddy. Yeah.
But yeah, like people who, drink a lot of alcohol and eat shit, like eat a bunch of sugar and stuff like that. And once you say like, I eat McDonald's personally, I eat in McDonald's like twice a week, right? And
wow,
and
that's a lot.
I'm like pretty jacked, buddy. Like, I'm not fucking fat, right? And like some fucking fat motherfucker comes to me and like, oh, that's unhealthy. No, fuck off, dude. That's not right. What unhealthy is that you're fucking 300 pounds, right?
Yeah, no, there is, it's like a worldwide pandemic. This when you're overweight, it's not easy for people to lose weight. So when it comes down to it, I think like try as much as you can to have your own conscious connection with the food that you're eating. That's what I'm saying. So you just don't. But over to Ngannou again. It's gonna be funny to see him. Tyson was standing on the stage with a big belly, shaking it. So and Ngannou's ripped, huge, big killing machine, And then it's like in the interview with Joe Rogan, he said, "No, but he's not gonna trick me. He's not gonna trick me." And Joe,
they look quite funny next to each other, to be honest.
What?
I said they look quite funny next to each other. Like Ngannou is like fucking ribbed, and Tyson is like, not that ribbed, let's say. So
no, but what he was saying is like, you're not gonna trick me. And then he said, and Joe Rogan, what do you mean by that? So he said like, because I've seen him fight in the ring. I've seen how this big guy, how fast, how quick he cuts the corners, how good stamina he has. He's not going to trick me into thinking, oh, this is going to be an easy fight. I'm going to do all my preparations in order to be in my best shape into this fight, because I've seen other people do that mistake. So I think that was interesting. He saw past that, because Tyson Fury, when he fights a lot, he's always much taller than his opponent normally, right? So when they come into clinching, he uses a lot of his heavy weight to hang on them. And that takes a lot of energy from the opponent, So even if he's a little bit heavy, he knows how to use his weight. If everybody who has done jiu-jitsu knows the difference of that, like if you're a little bit heavier, how much that means.
Yeah, for sure. you know. But I think in this fight what's really gonna be interesting is the speed difference between Tyson Fury and Ngannou, because I think it's gonna be a massive speed difference, for the favor of Fury. I think if he takes the preparation seriously, which I think he will, then he's gonna be a lot faster than Ngannou. Ngannou will have more power, but Fury will be a lot faster.
Yeah,
And I'm curious, like how much that will affect the fight.
it's
I'm
10
also
rounds.
yeah, but I'm also curious about their stamina. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think Fury has a much better stamina than Ngannou, or it's pretty
Yeah,
much the
boxing
same?
stamina, yes. I think Fury has more boxing stamina than Ngannou, but Ngannou has never been a big kicker, not a big wrestler. So he's been like most of his knockouts are like he's punching the shit out of his opponent, right? But it's
Yeah.
with much smaller gloves and everything. So I think Tyson Fury has the best boxing stamina, but I don't think Ngannou will come to this fight and not being able to go these 10 rounds. So my prediction for the fight is, well, I think the odds is probably on Tyson Fury's side, so he will win the fight. But what I would want to see in this fight is for Tyson Fury to get knocked out. And the reason for that is the story around Ngannou, the whole energy around him, the way that he got, kicked out of the UFC basically, and his whole everybody's saying you can't beat Tyson, you can't do this. He's done everything what people have told him that he can't do in
Yeah.
his life, right? So that would be an amazing thing. And the second part is like, imagine the fucking the if they're gonna do a fight again, a rematch. Oh my
Oh
god!
yeah, man. I mean,
Imagine the energy around that.
yeah, for sure. Especially if Ngannou wins, then the rematch would be crazy,
Wow,
and
the energy would. Yeah.
imagine the motivation also what Tyson Fury would have for that
Wow.
rematch. I'm not saying he's lacking motivation now, because he's probably not, but especially if he gets knocked out, right? How much motivation he would have for that rematch? I mean, it would be insane, and yeah, it's just crazy to even imagine it. Yeah, but I think, as you said, that's not gonna happen, because Tyson Fury is gonna win this fight. And I think probably by a TKO, but in the later rounds. He's just gonna probably tire out, Francis Ngannou. Land a few good punches, and yeah, eventually the ref will stop him. But Ngannou is not gonna go down, but it's gonna be like a standing TKO. That's my vision, right?
All right, cool, man. Interesting. Really, really fun to see. Another fight I want to talk about is recently been published or scheduled is Paddy the Pimblett against Tony. You seen that
Oh
one?
man, yeah, I've seen
What do you
that.
think about
Yeah,
that matchup?
man, I think the UFC is trying to give Paddy the biggest possible name with the least amount of risk, right? So, because Tony Ferguson has a very big name, but I think now he's very washed up, right? So he's on like a fucking six fight losing streak, right? So, and he got submitted his last two fights. He got brutally knocked out before that. So I think they're trying to hype up Paddy, and Tony Ferguson is a good person to do that with. So I really hope their plan is gonna get fucked up, and Tony Ferguson is just gonna knock him out or submit him. What do
Yeah.
you what do you think about the matchup?
Yeah, it's the fighting world is brutal, buddy. You say what you're saying about Tony is like he has a losing streak that's hard to come back from. He's not getting any older. With all due respect to Tony, he's a fantastic athlete and has a quite unique training and fighting style. So I think that he's a clearly a really tough opponent. I'm questioning if he still has what it takes in order to beat Paddy. Paddy has, it would mean so much more for Paddy to win this fight than it would mean for Tony to win this fight.
I'm not sure about that because if Tony wins, then I think he could probably retire. I'm not sure if he would, but he could, and then he could retire in peace basically, because then he would beat like a very hyped up prospect, who's much younger than him, and then he would shut up a lot of doubters too, right? Because like now everybody is at the stage like they're doubting Tony. They're saying like, okay, he has the mentality, but his body is not really capable of it anymore. And if he would just get like, especially a knockout, right, or even like a good submission win, like everybody would shut up and would be like, wow, like Tony still got it, because Paddy is like, I believe he's very overhyped, but he's still not a bad fighter, right? I mean, he's like what 3-0 in the UFC, I guess. Even though he lost his last fight, according to everybody, pretty much that was like a robbery. But yeah, he's still not a bad fighter. So for Tony to win, it would be a big thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a doubter now as well, I must say, because he's 39 years old and he's been in the sports for like so many years. I think he's been only in the UFC for like 13 years now or something. So, that takes a toll on the body, obviously. And yeah, I think unfortunately he will lose this fight, but I really hope that the opposite will happen.
Yeah, that's good points there, buddy. I was thinking that, when I said it means more to Paddy to win, it's because it would be a real booster to his career. He's, just as you said, he's just getting started in the UFC, and Tony is ending it. So the win over Tony would just catapult him into like the top 10, top 5, contender kind of category. For Tony, is like he has 6 losses. 7 won't matter too much. It would be a nice fight for him to retire on. And but sometimes we see that fighters always take too many fights, 6 losses. Shouldn't be enough with 5? Shouldn't it be enough with 4? How many losses is enough before you retire, right? So maybe this is the nail of the coffin. I don't know, but I kind of like Paddy's kind of attitude, and I think this will mean more for his career than so I'm hoping for Paddy here. I'm hoping his Scouser mentality, his accent. I need subtitles on the screen when he's talking because I don't understand.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I see some cool like content on YouTube with him as well. Did you see the clip where he was training with I think it was Marines, like American Marine soldiers or something?
Oh, I have not seen that. No.
It was like 10 Marines. Paddy had wrestled 10 Marines, and in order to see if he was legit, and he took all of them on. He wrestled with everybody. He was exhausted after, but it was a really cool performance by Paddy, though. So
yeah, I mean, Paddy is a fun character for sure. So yeah, but I mean, I still hope for Tony Ferguson to win. The guy is just a legend, and I can never root against Tony Ferguson, right? I mean, he's
so don't call him washed up then.
I mean, let's be realistic. I think he is washed up, but I hope that I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, choose your word more carefully.
But I'm really upset that his fight against Khabib, didn't happen. Because when Tony was still in his prime, so that would have been a great fight. And I think Khabib would have won, but it would be still an interesting matchup because like Tony's jiu-jitsu at that point was just so great.
Yeah. So talking about this up and coming guys, you got any up and coming talents on your radar that you've been watching? You talking about this website you're checking something? What's the name of that site?
Oh, Tapology.
Say it one more time, please.
Tapology, like tap when you tap in jiu-jitsu.
Ah, so, cool, man.
Tapology, yeah.
What do you view on that page?
I think it's great. I think it has great data for MMA fighters and also for organizations. I love that page. Like whenever I want to check a fighter, like who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
So I just go on
Who the
Tapology,
fuck is
and
that guy?
so I
Okay,
don't
so
have like I don't
let's
have
put
like a good Irish accent, so
yeah, so let's put a link below for a Tapology page for this video, so people can check out the page as well if they're interested in to see how you find up and coming fighters. Any names
yeah.
that you're noticing that could be fun to keep an eye on?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if you know about the guy Ilya Topuria, like he's in the featherweight division. So I mean, I don't even know if like we should call him up and coming anymore, because like it's very close to a title shot. But yeah, like I think he's the big deal. He's the next big thing. I think he's the next featherweight champion. Um, he's just, I mean, his last fight against Josh Emmett, right, was also a great fighter. And like one Josh scored a contest like 50-42, right? Like, how the fuck do you do that, to beat someone 50-42? Like, that's just insane. And
Yeah.
I think he's like super talented. And I don't know if anybody can beat him right now. But for sure, there are a lot of big young talents in the UFC. Who do you think could be the next big thing in like any division?
Um, Corey Sandhagen,
Oh, Corey Sandhagen, yeah, for sure.
this fighter, is already a known name. People know who he is for sure.
Yeah,
But I think his approach to the way his fighting IQ is very high. His striking ability is insane. His
oh, it's
ability
insane.
to
Yeah,
adapt to distance and close range and be able to connect. There's a whole fighting science behind it. So
yeah,
it's a fantastic mentality that he has, and the execution is flawless. So, and he has some raw brutality to his game. He is.
yeah,
He doesn't negotiate in those words.
yeah,
He just
yeah,
executes and he performs. So I think that's like that's a period in your life where your mentality is so strong that you don't care. You don't care. Bring it. I'll fight it. So
yeah.
that's always like a cool energy to follow. So Corey Sandhagen is a cool fighter. Check out some of his old videos. Someone's up and coming. So I think that's a guy to keep your eye on for the future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Corey Sandhagen, like he's such a great kickboxer, and also has good wrestling, and yeah, like he uses his range so well. I mean, he's like very very tall for the bantamweight division, right? So he uses his range very well, and yeah, he has potential certainly to become a future champ, right? I mean, now I would love to see him against O'Malley actually, because they're
Against
both
who?
like tall, long arms, long legs, both kickboxers basically. So it would be a really fun fight to watch.
Who would you like him to see him against?
Sean O'Malley,
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, the brutality around Sandhagen is interesting. So whatever fight he does, I'm gonna be watching that. So that's always a cool fighter to have at the UFC roster. Anyway,
yeah.
what else do we have?
Like young talents, you mean?
Yeah, or anything that like you're keeping your eye on these
Oh,
days.
that fucking guy! I think he's also insane. Like Shavkat Rakhmonov, in the welterweight division.
Yeah, this guy.
I mean, his fight was also announced now against Stephen Thompson,
Yeah,
Wonder Boy. Like, man, that guy is insane, bro. Like,
that's a
Shavkat
bad
Rakhmonov,
matchup though.
he's the real deal, bro. Like, that's a bad matchup for Thompson, I would say, because Rakhmonov, I mean, he's a great striker, but I don't believe he's really gonna strike with him. I think he's gonna mix it with his takedowns and stuff like that.
I
And
think he's
he
gonna
has like
maul him.
such a great wrestling. He submitted like jiu-jitsu, like a second-degree jiu-jitsu black belt in the UFC before. So to do that, I mean, he has great jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I'm a bit worried for Stephen Thompson in this match, man.
I agree
How
with
do
you.
you think it will play out?
I think it will maul him. Stephen Thompson is you know, we see from his previous fight, he was like he was connecting a little bit, but at the end of the day, he got outboxed, outfought. You know, he was not in his right element, even though he is a fighter. But I think for him, this is a bad matchup. This is not like a retirement fight for him. If he wins this fight, he should retire, is in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's really a bad matchup, and I have the same prediction as you. I think, you know, Shavkat Rakhmonov is just gonna take him down, and you know, I would say like he's gonna submit him, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and probably I feel it's gonna be a dominance performance there.
Yeah, I would be surprised if it's not. But the only interesting scenario would be if, you know, Shavkat decides to strike with him, right? To stand with him, and you know, they just bang. So that would be a big chance for Stephen Thompson to pull this off, right?
All right, so over to another funny thing, you know. You see the bashing going back and forth between Sugar Sean O'Malley and his previous fight.
Sterling?
Yeah.
I have not. What happened between them recently?
No, he's like Sterling's just talking about the fight and making explanations and maybe excuses or whatnot. I'm not sure, but and Sugar Sean, you know, is kind of a Snoop Dogg mentality. You know, is like so classy and cool in his comebacks with his comments. And what was the latest one? Sterling said like, what is the UFC turning into, like WWE now? It's too much Hollywood production around it. It's also fake, right? And then Sugar Sean just comments back, right? Well, that right hand wasn't fake.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
the knockout didn't feel fake, did it?
Yeah, that
Sugar
surprised
Sean
me.
like,
That surprised me a lot. You know how Sugar Sean just knocked him out. You know, to be very honest, I had a different prediction for that fight. You know, I was expecting, you know, Aljo just take him down and, you know, small him on the ground like Khabib style, right? So I was like pretty surprised, but yeah, that was definitely impressive by O'Malley, and you know, he's on top now, man. You know, who the hell can stop him? Like,
his time will come too, as for everybody, but he has that Conor mentality. It was like a signature Conor McGregor knockout, that the left hand just boom, or right hand. I don't remember which hand it was, but he just
they're both Irish, I guess, right? I mean,
I think O'Malley is like American born, but Irish blood, you know, like some with the name and everything.
Yeah.
So, but that's cool stuff, you know. It's like I saw this German philosopher talking about like how to separate your personality from your ego. And because if one example, if I slap you in your face, how would that make you feel?
I mean, you would make me feel pretty angry.
Yeah, and that's the emotional reaction, right?
Yeah.
How would the physical reaction be? How would that feel to get a slap in the face?
Probably pain, right?
Pain. And we break it down, we go through it like, okay, it's like a little warm feeling, a little pringling feeling, you know, you're a little bit red, and you get irritated or frustrated. But then Eckhart Tolle, the German philosopher, he says like, well, do you think that's your feelings?
Well, whose else's feeling it would be?
No, the point is like everybody would feel it the same way, right? It's just pretty a physical reaction to an action, right?
Yeah.
So it's on the way how your personality reacts to it. Like, dude, Stefan, are you okay? What the hell did you slap me? Is everything okay with you? Or if you're a bad friend, you go like, hey, douchebag, let's take this outside. I'll kick the shit out of you, right? So it separates your personality from your ego, so you don't have to do these things. And why I'm bringing this up is because look at Conor McGregor. He's not able to separate his personality from his ego now. He thinks he is that guy who beat Jose Aldo. Still, that person is far gone. And what the same thing I'm saying with Sean O'Malley. All these things that are happening to you, all the success, all the fame, all the physical manifestations of money, fights, techniques, mastering of the skills, that's not yours. You're able to borrow that for a period of time in your life, and then you have to pass it on. Somebody else will do the same thing. So when it comes down to it, it's so interesting to see these moments in history repeating himself just with different characters, because Julius Caesar in the Colosseum, he was having all the power in the world, but even he cannot hold it. He also have to give it away because we're only human. So when it comes down to it, it's interesting to see how they are able to experience it firsthand, but also knowing that it's not theirs. It's always borrowed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, time will eventually damage you, right? So yeah, I mean, you can be a great champion, in your 20s, in your 30s, even some people in their like early 40s. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like when age will eventually catch up. So yeah, there's an interesting thing, and this is an interesting philosophical concept that you just mentioned. I love philosophy actually, but it's so many interesting concepts. I'm a very big fan of this Stoic philosophy actually.
Yeah.
So like how you should, regardless of what's happening in your life, what's happening in your environment, like you should just keep doing your thing and yeah, basically just be immune to all this bullshit that's happening, right? Because it's a lot of fucking bullshit, and if you start to get angry about it, you just go crazy, right? That's
You
the
will
reality.
absorb it.
I mean, look at the fucking COVID bullshit. I mean, the whole fucking thing was just a fucking, big setup, right? I mean, it was a ridiculous thing, man. Like,
yeah. We
if
talked about
you,
the
yeah,
fighting with what's his name? The Mexican guy.
who?
Who are you talking? What Colby Covington situation are you referring to? There's been a lot with this guy.
Colby Covington?
Did you?
I didn't say Colby Covington. I
Who
didn't
did
talk
you
about
say?
Colby Covington. I was talking about Stoic philosophy, bro.
I thought you mentioned a person in there.
Oh, did I? I think I didn't mention Colby's name for sure.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, the drinks that we're drinking are starting to work. I'm happy with this stuff. It's working,
Yeah.
buddy. Okay, so let's wrap this up and just like recap a little thing. I think Tyson Fury, Ngannou, interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
It will shake up the fighting world if the unexpected happens. We have up and coming fighters that we were interested in seeing making a name for themselves. We want to see if Tony Ferguson is able to retire on top, or if he's taken a 7 and probably his final loss in his career. And yeah, I think we have a lot of things to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get back to it next week, right?
Of course.
So yeah, have a great night, bro.
Fantastic, buddy. Talk to you later. All right.
See you
Ciao.
next week.
Ciao.